Hi, I'm Nafisa Latic, and this is Across the Balkans. This week, we'll look at the Open Balkan initiative and what it means for the future of the region. Open Balkan is an economic and political zone founded by three Balkan countries, Albania, Serbia, and North Macedonia. The initiative aims to improve economic and regional cooperation among member states, as well as abolish border controls. The latest Open Balkan summit, held in Ohrid in North Macedonia, was also attended by officials from Bosnia and Herzegovina and Montenegro, but only as observers. Kosovo Prime Minister Albin Kurti has declined to attend, calling Open Balkan a harmful initiative with no vision. Kosovo does not want to join, saying Serbia does not treat it as an equal and has never recognized its independence. Let's take a closer look now at what was agreed in Ohrid and why many see Open Balkan as a snub to the EU's slow integration process.
Another Open Balkan summit in the North Macedonian city of Ohrid. And it seemed the five Balkan leaders enjoyed each other's company, at least in front of the cameras.
To je toliko dobra ideja da će iz godine u godinu da ima i sve više pristalica u naše tri zemlje, ali i širom Balkana. Svi ostali su, kako je Dimitar rekao, dobrodošli.
The initiative is spearheaded by Serbia, Albania and North Macedonia, and this time representatives of Montenegro and Bosnia and Herzegovina also participated, but only as guests. Although they are yet to officially join, Montenegro's Prime Minister Dritan Abazovic and the chairman of the Council of Ministers of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Zoran Tagliatija, say the initiative has their full support.
Moramo da rebrandujemo Zapadni Balkan. Da bi rebrandovali Zapadni Balkan, moramo da uspostavimo međusobnu komunikaciju, povećavamo povjerenje i pružimo ruke jedni drugima.
For the leaders present, the summit was an opportunity for regional cooperation, strengthening peace and security and opening new perspectives. But one country isn't quite convinced.
Kjo është sa I përket fillimit, por natyrisht Kosova ka edhe shumë shqetësime të tjera lidhur me qëllimet e kësaj iniciative dhe në veçanti qëllimet që Serbia I ka në këtë iniciativë, me qenë se ky shtet akoma nuk e ka njohur Republikën e Kosovës. Prandaj ne insistojmë që bashkëpunimi rajonal të vazhdojë në kornizën e procesit të Berlinit, proces I cili udhëhiqet nga Gjermania, Franca dhe shumë shtete tjera të Bashkimit Evropian, të cilat japin kontribut. Iniciativë kjo që ka për qëllim që shtetet tona t'i shtyjë drejt Bashkimit Evropian, e jo t'i bllokoj ato.
And in the wake of the conflict in Ukraine, Kosovo is also worried that the Open Balkan initiative could cement Russia's influence, considering Belgrade's close ties with Moscow. Serbia remains an EU candidate, but has refused to sanction Russia. Earlier, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov told Russian media that he supports the Open Balkan. That statement has once again fueled claims that the project is Russian-backed. Despite the question marks, the initiative is endorsed by the US, but Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for Central and Southern Europe Gabriel Escobar says it should remain strictly economic and not political. And the European Union has also thrown its support, if it means helping the region's EU aspirations.
The Open Balkan initiative is not only a very good one that we should all support, but it is a possible lever for the region to change the realities on the ground.
After 2 days in Ohrid, members signed 4 agreements regarding diploma recognition, easing cross-border travel, fighting tax evasion, and creating an open Balkan tourism map. But the meeting was overshadowed by the conflict in Ukraine and has deepened fears of Russian meddling in the region. And it all seems to stoke suspicions about Serbia's future role in the Open Balkans and just who it will benefit in the end.
Redi Shehu is a political analyst in Tirana, and Astren Bitici is also a political analyst and lawyer based in Pristina. Thank you both for joining us here on Across the Balkans. Good to have you with us. Now,
thank you for having us.
Let's pick from where we left in our report from Ohrid. I want to ask both of you, who benefits the most from the Open Balkan initiative? Redi, let me start with you.
Yeah, of course. I think that in this initiative, the most who benefits are Albanians, because you look one of very interesting details in the Ohrid summit. We have 4 to 6 member states of Western Balkan where Albanians, we got the Prime Minister of Albania, we have the Prime Minister of Kosovo, we have the Prime Minister of Montenegro, which is Albanian also, and we have the Prime Minister of North Macedonia, who is the Prime Minister of more than 40% of Albanians. So in 6 countries of Western Balkans, 4 of them are Albanians in the majority, politically and culturally and ethnically. So it means that in this initiative, most who will benefit will be Albanians. Because what the Albanians lacked during all this time were the separated borders between them. There were a separation not in economy, but in policy, in culture, in sports, in every field of life. Meanwhile, the Serbs, like Serbia and the Serbs of Republika Srpska, and even the Serbs enclaves in Kosovo, did not have borders at all. They were so correlated with each other in all the terms, politically, economically, and culturally. So I think that Albanians will benefit more because we'll provide this mechanism of Open Balkans, provides them the substance of homogenizing themselves in all these levels that I mentioned before.
Right. Azadran, what do you think? Kosovo obviously is strongly against the Open Balkan initiative. Seems like the leaders in Kosovo think Serbia will benefit the most.
Clearly, we can see that Serbia now is the most powerful political and economical and army in the Balkan. Absolutely, in a joint trade, in a joint union, the Serbia will benefit the most because it's an industrial state which produces and the state subsidizes the production for it. In these circumstances, we before making an analysis, which is if it is profitable, this union, like this organization, Open Balkan, we should see that in which basis its idea is founded. For example, if we will make a comparison from other supranational organizations like European Union, or European Union was found upon the principle of equality. In this sense, they have taken the responsibility for the past and moved forward to not come again to the same history that they have done to each other, like Germany to France, and they have taken the responsibility to move forward equally. In this sense, Serbia is trying to overpass Kosovo to an integration like mini European Union without accepting as a reality the independence of Kosovo. Kosovo is most damaged to this issue, to this Open Balkan, because through this, Serbia is presenting Kosovo as a destructive state, as a not cooperative state, and as is complicating its position internationally. In these circumstances, Albania is helping them because Serbia, through Open Balkan, it's not trying to resolve all the open issues with Kosovo and to recognize Kosovo as equal partner in this joint organization. So in this sense, none of any idea that is being promoted for a Balkan integration will not be realized without Kosovo being part of it.
Right. Redi, do you agree with Azadran that Albania is pushing Kosovo to join this union despite the fact that Serbia never actually recognized Kosovo and there are so many open issues unresolved? Is this jumping over to union before solving the basics in the region among the countries?
So there are some issues that we have to discuss regarding what my colleague said. Do not forget that to take part of an Open Balkan, even for Kosovo, is there are two conditions: equal footing and legal basis. And these two conditions are for all the Western Balkan members that will take part in the Open Balkans, which means that in the round table, when Kosovo probably should sit with Serbia, should sit with these two conditions: equal footing and legal basis. That means that every assignment that will have be done in the future, it means that indirectly Serbia will recognize Kosovo because they will sign documents between two states. The second issue that I should discuss is that it's not true. It's true that Serbia is very powerful, but was very powerful during the Berlin process. The Berlin process provides to Serbia and managed to create a greater Serbia in terms of policy and economy and in the integration process. Do not forget that during the last decade, when the Berlin process was at its highest level, Serbia was gaining in terms of policy and managed to reduce the Kosovo's recognition internationally and managed to obtain the German funds, the Berlin funds, the EU funds for all the infrastructure of Serbia. And also in the integration processes with the Berlin help, Serbia was so far with the opening chapters in the integration process. And what's happened with the other countries of the region? Where is the equality of the Western Balkans? Take Kosovo, for example. Kosovo was politically, economically, and in the integration processes is very behind of Serbia and other countries. And this was under the Berlin process. And do not forget that during the Berlin process, Germany and Russia were at their highest level of cooperation. The
Right.
Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2, the investment, German investment in Russia. And that's why the Open Balkan, that's why this new initiative that is not, I should repeat, not originated by the Balkan leaders, originated by the United States. That is a very, very important fact. Because there is no reason.
Azren, let me jump in here, Redu, briefly, because the U.S. envoy for the Western Balkans, Gabriel Escobar, also joined the summit in Ohrid. He says he supports this initiative. That means the U.S. supports this initiative as long as it's an economic project, not a political one. Can this be the base to convince Kosovo to join eventually if it can benefit in some way?
Most strong international states like United States and European Union, like as an organization, absolutely they cannot be like against those initiatives because they are promoting the peace in the terms of words, in the terms of idea, and of course everything that promotes the peace for which United States and European Union invested in Balkan, they cannot be against. But if we will check the basic principles of how a multinational organization works, we should make a comparison toward European Union. I have mentioned again, and I will just mention briefly because it should be understood that we cannot be a part of any of a supranational organization if we are not treated as equal. And if we will not take, if we will not respect each other to treat each other equally. European Union was found by those principles, by the principles of respecting each other's sovereignty, territorial integrity, not interfering in each other's internal affairs, and other basic principles on which they have moved forward, from the Treaty of Paris, then to the Treaty of Rome, and then to the other treaties. If we will see, they have left the past behind, but they have taken the responsibility by taking the responsibility of the one who did that war and for the crisis that has the crisis that happened because of that. And to that crisis, they have found this organization. We in Europe, they had the guarantee. It was France and Germany. And then they have joined the other countries. We had the court. It's the court of justice. Every time it worked, as a court for any dispute between countries. In this organization, Open Balkan, we do not have a guarantor. We cannot. That should be reliable and credible. Vučić is not reliable and credible. Also, we do not have an arbitrator that if we will have a dispute between each other, who may solve them?
Definitely, when you look at the countries in the Western Balkans, a couple of them have unresolved issues with Serbia. One of them, Montenegro, seems like changed its position over Open Balkan. Montenegrin Prime Minister has given some positive signals. Do you think, if not Kosovo, that Bosnia and Montenegro can join the initiative anytime soon?
Yes, there are two statements done by Mr. Abazovic and the head of Council of Ministers of Bosnia and Herzegovina. The first one said that I saw another Western Balkan in the Ohrid summit, and the second one, the Bosnian representative, said that this cooperation will bring us to join the Open Balkan. So it means that their status as observers this time was a message that in the future probably these two countries will join. When there is a conflict, where a region is full of conflict, we should not expect that this conflict will be resolved immediately. And we should not expect that Serbia can recognize immediately Kosovo. Do not forget that Germany recognized their crimes of Second World War in 1956 under Willy Brandt prime ministry. So you need time to do. These are processes. The question is, in these processes, does Albanians earn more benefits than the others? I think yes, because ethnically we are the majority in this region, and we are more divided in this region than Serbs and the others. So why don't join this initiative? The only guarantor in this initiative is the United States, who provide the Kosovo's independence. And the United States are the fierce enemy of Russia influence in the region. Now, what I'm telling about, that the United States are the pro-Russian and Serbian influence in the region? Come on. The only guarantor here is the United States. And later we have seen Mr. Várhelyi from the European Union join the initiative in the Ohrid summit. Why? Because the war in Ukraine told us that if we should be united to front Russia and the Chinese influence in the region.
Okay, I do want to thank you both, Redi Shehu, Azrem Bitici, for joining me in this discussion. Meanwhile, Montenegrin Prime Minister Dritan Abazovic says he has accepted an invitation to go to Kiev and proposed to make a joint visit to Ukraine alongside the leaders of all Western Balkan nations. Abazovic held a telephone call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy about the progress of their countries on the EU path. Abazovic says Montenegro fully supports the European integration of Ukraine, as well as Ukrainian people in the conflict with Russia. He has described Russia's attacks as a shame, and that his country, a front-runner in the EU accession process, now hosts more than 10,000 Ukrainians. Mirjana Miladinovic went to Podgorica to see how Montenegrins have welcomed the refugees.
Since the conflict in Ukraine began, nearly 20,000 Ukrainian refugees have passed through Montenegro. About a third of them have remained. Some have managed on their own, while others arrived desperate for help. And despite lying north in Montenegro's poorest region, Bijelo Polje was the only town in the country to accept 14 Ukrainian families who had nowhere to go.
Kada je počeo ovaj sukob u Ukrajini, znači Bijelo Polje iznenada došlo 38 žena i djece slabijeg imovnog stanja koji su situirani u gradskom hotelu. Mi smo izašli u susret i pomogli onoliko koliko možemo. Prije svega građani su izašli u susret, skupili smo humanitarnu pomoć, opština i Crveni krst. Obezbijedili smo hranu, ćebad, osnovne potrepštine i lijekove.
And for those Ukrainian families, this Montenegrin town was the end of the road.
Kroz Crnu Goru je, kao što znate, između 6-7 hiljada izbjeglica došlo, prošlo skoro 19 hiljada izbjeglica, ali to su uglavnom situiranije porodice koje su se smjestile, iznajmile ili kupile nekretnine na moru. Problem su ove siromašne porodice koje se smjestili u Bilom polju na sjeveru, koje nemaju egzistencije za život i bukvalno su na teretu lokalnoj samoupravi.
Natalia Lotskina is one of them. She escaped Kharkiv with her two daughters, Elizaveta and Anna. When the conflict started, all she could think of was to take her children to safety.
Муж сказав, треба їхати, спасай дітей. Все бросили і я з дітьми поїхала в нікуди. Нікого за кордоном в мене нема, щоб поїхати до них. Поїхали в нікуди і написали в групу, що є така Чорногорія, є можливість, що нас тут приймуть, буде дах над головою. Все, ми написалися на Чорногорії.
It took them several days to reach Montenegro. They have been living in a hotel in Bielopolje for 3 months now. They have food on the table and the roof over their heads. Natalia's daughter Elizaveta is also playing volleyball at a local club and says that it helps her forget, at least for a little while, about home.
Мої думки уходять на задній план. Я не думаю ні про що, окрім гри. Тільки м'яч, тільки я, тільки команда, тільки поле. І все.
Od prvih dana kad je malo onako trebalo vremena da se prilagodi na sve nas ovdje, do sad kad je već onako igra, da kažem, i sa seniorskim timom, pokazuje neke znake napretka i vidi se da uživa dok radi to.
Still, there are problems. Despite living in a hotel with 2 meals a day, Natalia has 2 children, no income, and without any knowledge of how long the situation will continue.
Країна Чорногорія дуже гарна країна. Ну, нема роботи. Немає роботи, а робота – це основне. Я не зможу тут працювати. Я би хотіла роботу, але в мене така спеціальність, що я не зможу. Без язика я тут не зможу працювати. Потрібно знати язик, щоб розуміти людей.
The local Red Cross helps as much as it can with the little resources it has.
Potrebno je da se uključe sve nadležne institucije kako bi se možda ostvarilo pravo na obrazovanje djece koja su školskog i predškolskog uzrasta. Neophodno je uključiti možda jedan dio njih u radni proces, što je također dosta izazovno.
But for Ukrainian refugees, finding a place here is even harder than it seems. They lack any status in Montenegro. Officially, they do not even exist.
Ja se nadam da će ova novoformirana vlada, koja je pronatovska, imati mnogo i koja mnogo ima bolje međunarodne konekcije, biti mnogo odgovornija i preuzeti ono što su njihove međunarodne obaveze. Mi direktno nijesmo imali komunikaciju, međutim, računam da UNHCR direktno ima komunikaciju. Oni su nam rekli da direktno pritiskaju i prethodno ministarstvo i sadašnje da jednostavno ispune svoje obaveze, da dodijele status izbjeglički ovim licima, da im dodijele određena službena dokumenta na osnovu kojih mogu steći i pravo na liječenje, i pravo na rad, i na obrazovanje, i sve ono što po međunarodnim deklaracijama i konvencijama pripada.
Nobody knows how long the conflict in Ukraine will last or when the refugees will be able to return home. So local authorities, as well as the Ukrainians themselves, are hoping the state can do its part.
Nažalost, ovaj sukob se produžio skoro 3 mjeseca, te porodice očekuju da se vrate u svoju matičnu državu, međutim i dalje potpuno neizvjesno. Ono što ostaje sada problem je kako riješiti jezičku barijeru, kako obezbijediti radne dozvole, kako odraditi nešto da ti ljudi mogu makar da se integrišu privremeno dok se ne riješi ovo stanje u njihovoj matičnoj državi.
And while Natalia hopes these problems are soon overcome, no wish weighs heavier right now than one.
Дуже хочеться додому повернутися. Жити без родини – це важко. Тому що ми в чужій країні. Як би так гарно не було, і люди добрі, і все добре, але родина – це основне. Це саме головне, що є в житті. Тому дуже хочеться додому, до рідних, до близьких. І ми надіємося в скорому времени повернутися.
And this is not only Natalia's wish, but the wish of over 6 million people who have fled Ukraine since February. And with no end in sight to the conflict raging in Ukraine's east, it's impossible to know when those wishes will be realized. Mirjana Miladinovic, TRT World, Podgorica, Montenegro.
We'll continue to follow the Ukrainian refugees' arrival to the Balkans. Thanks for watching this episode of Across the Balkans. See you next time. Bye-bye for now.